Pop quiz. What did the dinosaur think about culture? I don't know, because he's extinct. Not my best introduction of all time. Nevertheless, here we are. Day 3. Human geography. Diffusion. Actually, Unit 3 is probably the least stressful and most kind of like, user-friendly section of human geography. And in this case, we're going to break down a lot of that unit just talking about diffusion, which is the meat and potatoes, if you will, of the whole deal. It kind of breaks down into two broader categories, relocation and expansion diffusion. By the way, this word, in case you're still on the fence, means the movement of ideas or feelings or cultural traits or habits or norms. Just means movement. To diffuse is to move. And so relocation diffusion means you physically take yourself and you move somewhere else and you bring that with you. So for example, if the faith you practice is ethnic in nature, such as Judaism, or you're Amish, the only way that your faith is most likely going to diffuse or spread is through you physically taking yourself and moving somewhere else, aka migration. On the flip side, we have expansion diffusion, which means you're kind of growing. Most of the Christian faiths tend to be universalizing, so they can diffuse through either relocation or expansion, because you can have missionaries to spread the word, or you yourself can move somewhere diffusing that faith as well. The three flavors of expansion diffusion are stimulus, contagious, and hierarchical. Stimulus is this idea that the diffusion itself will replicate imperfectly. So the idea will diffuse, but it'll change along the way. For example, some cities have gotten on the green bandwagon, banning plastic bags or straws or other items. And so the ideas aren't exactly the same in every city. Some politicians will implement the policy slightly different than others, hence stimulus diffusion. When a city adopts a slightly different version of the same policy, stimulus. Contagious diffusion is probably what you're most used to, and it will certainly not happen with this video, in that videos go viral. Ideas go viral all the time on the internet, and every time you hit share and you're sharing the exact same content, the same video, that is contagious diffusion. Right now, you're really experiencing this with, yeah. And so finally, we have hierarchical. And there's this weird reverse hierarchical concept. For the most part on the AP exam, this will be big cities to small cities. Sometimes they ask about coffee shops like Starbucks starting in Seattle, and then Starbucks has diffused slowly over time into smaller cities. But they could ask about Walmart, which began in a smaller city and then has grown to bigger cities. That would be reverse hierarchical if it goes small to big. That said, it could be about celebrities too. So for example, if I learned to wear Patagonia hats from some celebrity wearing them, then that would be hierarchical diffusion. However, if a celebrity learns from me to wear Patagonia hats, that'd be reverse hierarchical. Pretty sweet. There are obvious concerns and drawbacks of diffusion. Ethnocentrism might come up on the exam. That means studying or perceiving or judging a culture through the lens of your own. You're centric in your own culture. Assimilation would be that you fully indoctrinate somebody into a culture, thus obliterating their original culture, which is kind of a terrifying concept. Think of it as language extinction, cultural extinction. And then finally is our last one, cultural extinction. This would be like the Walmart problem. Every time we get a new strip mall and all the buildings look the same and they sell the same objects, we kind of lose our distinctiveness, our eccentricities, if you will. And that uniqueness is the flavor of life. The problems are outweighed, though, by the benefits. We obviously like diffusion. We don't want everybody living in caves, floating away into space randomly, never converging upon each other. What a weird analysis. Anyway, the first benefit is syncretism, is this idea of blending concepts to create a stronger concept. This kind of lends itself to this idea of multiculturalism, which is everybody's kind of living in peace, being different people, we respect each other, kumbaya, everybody's happy. The second one is this convergence of culture, wherein cultures mix and match, but there's no discord, no balkanization. And so this is an ideal situation, pretty rare in the world, but there are definitely cultures that have achieved this. And, a lot of it is just respecting each other. Finally, we get new expressions, which are truly beautiful. Sometimes terrifying, sometimes historically from very bad places like imperialism or colonization. That is definitely the case with a lot of creolization in the world. and lingua franca dominance. So, for example, English is clearly all over the world because of the internet and the language of business, and in the past, Latin has been as well, and a bunch of other languages. And usually that dominance didn't come from accident or benevolent means. Nevertheless, there's definitely a benefit in having new expressions manifest all over the world because new pockets of culture can lend to new ideas which are beautiful. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hasta mañana? Spanish.